How's everything going?
We're good, man. I'm very excited to talk to you because obviously a couple years ago was very deep into DAO land. I think, a lot of the meta and focus has shifted away from that since, and including my own attention. So really excited to kind of hear what's happened on the ground floor. So maybe before we get into that, so you're the co-founder of Hats Protocol, which is a full stack solution for organizing on-chain. You make it easy to save time, automate onboarding, and manage permissions across the internet with programmable on-chain roles. So I think maybe just to kind of ground people and really what's possible with Hats or what's uniquely enabled with Hats, could you kind of share a little bit more about how it works and maybe kind of include a few hero use cases of Hats so people can really understand what's possible?
Yeah, for sure. So we got started because we were participating in DAOs and we wanted to give specific people power, responsibility, but there wasn't really a way to do it using the on-chain mechanisms. You just had to trust someone to run the Discord or use a sort of off-chain solution like Google Docs. We said this is messed up. If we're really relying on a smart contract to manage our resources and do things on chain together, we should be able to coordinate on chain as well. We started that about 3 years ago. We've made a bunch of different experiments along the way. One of the main things that we help people with is gating smart contracts. So helping to create, an admin relationship between a DAO and a safe multisig, for example. Eigenlayer is working on a different use case, which has their councils, which are individually Governor Bravo contracts, which are used typically for DAOs. They're actually making sub DAOs using Hats. So they'll have the top level governance and then a bunch of protocol Governor Bravo contracts that have one hat, one vote instead of just relying on safe multisigs and not actually being able to revoke the authority from the people who get those roles. I think you guys saw the stuff that we're just working on Farcaster, which is a little different. So is that what you want to talk about today, or where should we go from there?
Yeah, we definitely can. If that I actually haven't seen it, so would love to hear about it.
Yeah, there's someone posted this thing the other day. It's the main thing that we're interested in is in the world of the future of organizations with AI agents delegating a lot of work to these sort of recursive LLM calls. It's still the same questions as we had with DAOs, but in a slightly different context, which is who actually gets to say who should have what authority, and how do we make sure that the people or the AI agents that have that authority use it well and don't misuse it, and there's forms of accountability that we can give them. So we're experimenting with something that Spencer gave a talk about 2 years ago at ETH Denver and then DevCon called Trust Zones. So that's been our sort of academic philosophical focus for the last couple of years, which is there a first principles way to optimize an organization by giving people specific authority or groups of people the right authority? What's the sort of level of expertise and trust that each person needs? How much power should we give them? And then what's the efficiency gains that we get from doing that? And sort of a Coasian nature of the firm dynamic, ROI dynamic. And we think that blockchains basically introduce the not just effectiveness and cost trade-offs, but also capture resistance trade-offs. You have to think about all three of those things as you make these decisions. And we're sort of very hopeful that we can do that algorithmically. We can create an optimal firm that includes AI agents and is built on blockchain rails, programmable organizational rails that optimizes across these three vectors and ultimately makes not just good enough organizations on chain to justify being on chain, but the best organizations in the world where people will want to be on chain because they get these additional capture resistance benefits at every sort of fractal level of the organization with different roles.
Very crazy. So what? Yeah, I guess if you kind of squint and look at the future, what are some of the opportunities to build these really kind of weird kind of futuristic organization structures with agents and people? What's kind of the front line of that? Where's that going to go first?
Yeah, so the Farcaster experiment that we just did Wednesday, Thursday last week was we combined an AI agent built on Eliza with a mini app built on the Farcaster composable Legos,
Mm-hmm.
and we called it cracked Farcaster devs. So it was a way for people. It was a seed group of the four of us, and then we like nominated other people via the agent, and then the agent sort of like asked for votes from a subgroup of all the people on the list already. In the beginning, it was just the four of us, but then for the next person, it was like 4 out of 5, and the next person, it was 4 out of 6, et cetera, et cetera. By the ninth person, it was a vote that was a random subgroup that didn't even include any of the seed members. So we're like, is this sufficiently decentralized? Just as a joke, we got up to 78 people in 48 hours. We just had a 48-hour cutoff, and it's like a list of amazing developers in the Farcaster ecosystem, people who've actually built stuff. And that idea of like creating a subgroup of the list to actually vote on whether or not this person should be in or not, on top of all the sort of composable Legos that are available now, proved to be a pretty interesting hypothesis that greatly reduced the cost. Like you can imagine trying to do 78 DAO votes in 48 hours. It's never happened in the history of DAOs, right? But now you have this like other mechanism that it's sort of proving a very, very narrow use case of this trust zones idea. The obviously random selection of the people who are voting and always requiring 4 people is like not the best way to do it, but those are the sort of parameters that we can play with now.
Got it. Very cool. Maybe to zoom out for a sec, I'm curious, like how has on-chain governance evolved over the last couple of years? Like, are we actually getting better at it, or are we just like most people just paying less attention to it? So we're kind of not talking about all the issues that still exist. Like, what's the current state of governance?
I'm sorry, I have to add in a caveat too, because I actually am curious, like, if there's a bigger difference in product or a bigger difference in learned user behavior, and like where the biggest impacts really have been.
Yeah, the DAOs right now, like the existing DAOs are very much stuck in a local maximum. So you have like the dynamic of this really rich design space and the territory that was being explored in 2021, sort of like consolidating because of regulatory concerns and VC dollar, sort of incentives into like Vitalik recently said, like no one got fired for hiring Governor Bravo, like no one got fired for hiring IBM. Governor Bravo, one token, one vote is not that interesting of a organizational primitive. It's basically like a shareholder vote, but on chain instead of through corporate documents. It doesn't really get you that much when you're trying to build an organization. It just, imagine if someone said, hey, I have a new way to build organizations, and then they just gave you like a way to replace your shareholder votes without thinking about any of the Web3 stuff. It's just very, very small surface area for all the problems that an organization solves. So in order to sort of think about how to do the rest of an organization, we had to sort of back out from all of the current best DAO thinking because it's so stuck in a local maximum. A lot of people, a lot of people died, right? A lot of people left the space. A lot of projects died. A lot of DAOs died, and then a lot of DAOs that became a DAO did so because of their lawyer's advice. They didn't actually have an incentive or intention to decentralize, or the founders didn't want to decentralize. So you have this like very small group of people who are thinking from first principles about what DAOs or organizations could be. And then the AI agent stuff makes it like a whole different world because you can reduce the cost basis while still increasing decentralization. It's just it's a brand new landscape. So we're hoping to like reignite a new spark of a totally different way of DAOing, which I think people are sort of know is coming, but they're just waiting to see like when the right moment's going to be.
So we're optimistic.
Oh, super optimistic.
Love it. Great, man. Well, appreciate you jumping on. We're gonna have to leave it there and bring Brexton up, but we'll have you back on soon for a long convo.
Awesome. Great to see you.
All right, man. Take care.
Ciao.